Welcome to another episode of the Chun Show. I hope all of you are doing well. This is very exciting and nervous time. Just a few days away from our big election coming up. I hope all of you will get a chance to vote, if not already. I did. So, I'll be waiting just like all of you. Let's see what happens. I'm hoping that it'll be a peaceful transition. Another word of wisdom, COVID-19. This is real. Please, all of you should get flu vaccine before the month of October is over, which is, hey, I think it's this week, just a few days. And also, social distancing and mask, two things you must do. Since I started this podcast, I've had many interesting conversations, great guests that I'm making a list of that I'll be inviting in coming weeks. Tonight, I have my friend Brian Kayongo from Uganda. I bet many of you don't even know where this country is. It is in the middle of Africa. What's remarkable about Brian and his wife is that they've lived in this country relatively short amount of time. And just in few years, they've managed to build a very successful home healthcare agency. And when I read their website, I was pleasantly surprised to see that over 1 million hours of care they've been giving since they opened in 2016. 1 million hours. They serve Greater Boston. And I am told that no one works as hard as Brian and his wife, Lois. I want to hear about his journey from Uganda. Myself, coming from Korea, I'm here because one of my aunts married Uncle Jim, a soldier who helped fight in Korean War. We've had other guests who, our friends from Albania, got lucky because his family was part of 3,000 lottery tickets, which allowed his family to come to the United States. We've had another guest who talked about, because of his Jewish background, that he was able to come from Russia. So I'm wondering, how did Brian and his wife come to the United States? Of all the place, Greater Boston. So let's get Brian on the phone and let's hear what he has to say.
Hello, hello.
Brian, how are you?
I'm fine. Let me increase my volume here. Can you hear me
Wow.
better?
Yes.
Yes.
Nice. I like it.
So
So
let me introduce my friend here, Brian. You know, may I say that you're about to have another child?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Right? Didn't anyone tell you that when you go from 1 to 2, it's like 1 plus 1 is not 2 but 10, right?
Don't
But
scare me.
I tell you what, Brian, I mean, I heard how hard you and your wife work.
Yeah.
One of our mutual friends told me that no one works as hard as you two. I can only imagine because
Yep.
as we'll be talking about your very demanding but successful company
Yeah.
in what, 4 or 5 years, over a
Yeah,
million
5 years
hours
now.
of serve. Wow, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So I read your CV, I read your history a little bit.
Yeah.
But first of all, how old are you?
27.
Oh my God, 27. 27 years old, a baby
Yeah.
who owns a large multi-million-dollar company at
Yeah.
27. And I think from what I read, you own something else in Uganda too, right? Concept
Yeah.
Real Estate.
Yeah. A concept real estate.
So, ladies and gentlemen, 27-year-old young man from Uganda. Are you from Kampala?
Yeah. Just outside of Kampala, like Wakiso.
So, Kampala is the capital of Uganda.
Yeah.
So, tell us a little bit about Uganda. What little I know of Uganda is that I'm familiar with Idi Amin, like many of us, right? Who ruled the country in 70s. until your country went to war with Tanzania, and then I
Yeah.
think he was ousted. So sometime in 70s and on, it's been like a democratic country, kinda.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah,
But one president who has been in power for 30 years, but the economy is growing. That's a good thing. Like they've tried but most of the people in our country are youth, like people who
mm,
are between 18 and 35 years old. So that
really.
is more than like 70% of the population.
How is that
So
possible?
because there are a lot of young people who are getting pregnant. So because of the 1% of the people who are rich is little bit number, but the most of the people are middle class people, and they have to be struggling. And most of the people are struggling. These are young kids who, I would say, people who are below 18, they get pregnant. We have a lot of early pregnancy in
Hmm,
women because of the poverty levels in the country that causes that to have that huge of a population.
I
So
see.
that's why we have that big of a population. But Uganda is one of the most growing up economies in Africa. If
Hmm.
we are looking at today, there's people are so enterprising, and it is ranked to be one of the most enterprising country in the world.
Hmm.
Surprisingly, people in
Interesting.
Uganda, yeah, we have a lot of people like in Uganda. People don't wait so much to wait to get jobs. People create small jobs. You
Hmm.
find so many people creating so many small jobs. That's why even it was talked by CNN about being the one of the enterprising country in the world. Yeah,
How old were you when you came to this country?
I came when I was 18.
18, nine
Yeah,
years ago.
yeah, 9 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then tell me about your family in Uganda before you came. Were you guys middle class, rich,
I
poor?
would say we are close to middle class, but not yet middle class. But the one advantage which I had, my parents were like enterprising. So we used to own an event company, and also
Hmm.
my parents had started doing some real estate business, like building middle class rental properties, like building rental property for people who are just getting out of university, who are trying to figure out themselves, like those affordable houses. So even the company I own today, we focus on affordable housing. We don't build like various apartments, what and what. So we focus on helping the people who are in the middle class and people who are just starting to begin life.
That's
That's what is our main focus.
that's remarkable. So
Yeah.
why did you come to the United States?
I got an opportunity through my dad. My dad came here asking for asylum because he was working for the government. So then he came here to America too, and he was having asylum here. So through that, then they gave me a visa, and I was able to come to this great nation, which has blessed me so much to grow even more.
That's
Yeah.
right. You know,
Yeah.
the reason I started this podcast is because as you said,
Yeah.
great country,
Yeah.
right? I mean, no country is better than America. You'd agree?
Definitely.
It's it's in the eyes of someone from Uganda, from Korea, and right now, if we talk about this topic, many fellow Americans may say, "Well, what about all the pandemic,
Yeah.
race riots, and all that?" We get that,
Yeah.
and we're not ignoring it. But
Yeah.
for us, we see so much opportunity, and we're busy with everyday living, right? That's what you're
Definitely.
doing.
Yeah.
So you graduated from high school in Uganda, then
Yeah.
you came here. By the way,
Yeah.
where did you meet? Did you know Lois back in Uganda, or did you meet her here?
I met her here. Oh, it's a
You
blessing. I met her here.
wow,
Yeah.
another. I mean, for one, you guys are blessed because you met. But when I first met you, I thought, wow, this young couple could be on the cover of any fashion magazine because you dress so trendy. You know, you never know. But
Yeah.
all behind that is hard work. So you came
Definitely.
here in 18 and you went to school here.
Yeah. So I went here to school when I came here. So my dad wanted me to be a nurse, but so I entered school, him thinking that I'm going for to be a nurse when I was taking different classes.
Oh boy.
But I didn't obey him. But my interest from day one was like I wanted to be an accountant. So as a father, to me. So I went back and told him, that I went to school as me too. I want to go to school as you wanted me to go to school, but I decided I want to do accounting. But this is why I want to do accounting. I know it's a great opportunity for someone in this country like me as an immigrant to do medical courses, because there's more opportunities for me to enter into any sector I want to enter into medical. But I told him, like, for me, I believe if I do what I feel the passion for, the opportunity will follow me always. And I'm in this greatest country. So I think the sky is the limit for me. So give me a chance to do what I feel like I love to do, which was numbers. I like to do numbers. That's why I ended up doing accounting and finance. I did it together with computer information system.
And then he was happy because you married a nurse.
Like, the one thing which I want you is to succeed and pass. So I was able to succeed and pass through that. And for me, my goal when I was taking accounting, I was like, who is my first opportunity for me to get the opportunity of getting a job in this country? It was the people I go to school with. So I was blessed to go to school with the people who are also going to go into the same industry like me. So I was like, I need to create a good friendship and be a good friend to these people, and then I'm able to succeed. As they're succeeding, it's the same chain, because all of us, we're in the same circle. Will all of us be able to grow as individuals? Yeah.
Right.
And want the best for each other.
Yeah. So soon after when did you meet Lois, your wife?
So after school, I was at one of my friends' graduation. So then I met Lois. She came with one of our friends. So that's how we met. But
love at first sight. Love at first
that's
sight.
What she told me. She told me that she told her friend, like, and our friend also tells me, she said, like, that's my future husband. But when we talked there, we just talked about even business. We just talking about my construction project of affordable housing in Uganda, which I was doing. And she was like, oh, that's really interesting. Like, you are not focusing on other people who are just building like these fancy houses. I was like just discussing about, like, I want to build more affordable housing, like 10,000 of them. And that's has continued to be my goal until today even.
Wow. So your goal is to build 10,000 units?
Yeah, 10,000 affordable housing unit. Yeah.
Affordable housing.
Yeah.
Wow. That's like, that you are doing. I mean, think about when you are in the process of doing that. Think about the position you are in to be seen as a role model for younger people.
Definitely.
That's so soon after that, it sounds like soon after that, your marriage, you started this company.
Yeah, so soon after that, after me getting out of school, I did a project with Lois, which was about dialysis, to help people back home in Uganda for dialysis. So we met one of our great friends here, Henry, who was in dialysis. He was getting dialysis machines from hospitals, which were refurbished machines. So he was like, I'm looking to donate these machines to some other people. We're like, yeah, we are interested and we are doing that program for dialysis. So he donated to us those machines, and we donated them back home in a government hospital back home, so that we continue helping the community. And that's what strengthened our relationship with Lois. We spent so much time together working on that project with Lois. And through that, we developed the friendship. And after that, the relationship was created.
And then you said you asked her to marry you.
Definitely, yeah.
And she said yes. And
yes.
then she said, Brian, let's start a company.
Yeah.
We started a healthcare.
Mindful healthcare.
How long you been married?
We have been married now 3 years and a half. Yeah.
Wow. And your company is 5 years?
5 years. Yeah.
And how many employees do you have?
83 right now. As 83
employees.
Yeah.
That's not a small company.
Definitely.
That's like 20 times bigger than my little office.
No, yours is big.
So tell me, how did you start? I mean, your father wanted you to be a nurse. Instead, you become an accountant. You marry a nurse, and you have this idea of starting home health care.
Yes, please.
Out of what? From what experience?
So what motivates? So this is how it was. So I met Lois and we did this dialysis project. And then Lois, she's like, I'm here. She was working for one of the oldest VNAs in Massachusetts, Arlington VNA.
Mm-hmm.
So she was there as a manager, and she was like, I need to take care of these seniors better than these people the way they do. I need
Hmm.
to start something different. And how can I be different from anyone else? Anyone else can try and say that I'm doing well to take care of these seniors, but what can I do different? And I'm like, and I was like, what are you thinking? What makes it different? And she's like, being mindful. Then we are like, that's where the name is gonna be. Let
Being
us name this
mindful.
company Mindful Healthcare Agents. So from there, then she was like still working there for like a couple months, and she said one day she came to me and said, I've been praying and God has blessed me with everything which I have in life. And I made a decision by God's grace. I'm going to start this company today. Then the next day we started and we registered the company. And since then, it has been history. We just started. It took me 1 year to quit. I was working with Digital Federal Credit Union.
Mm-hmm.
So I continued working there so that I can support with extra income to build the business. So after 1 year, then we saw the business was stabilizing. Then she told me, now it's time for you to quit so that you can start helping me out here. So since then, Lois, she has been working as a CEO and also the clinical manager for like overseeing all the clinical stuff. And I've been the CFO for the company, managing the finances for the company and seeing how the company can grow better. Yeah. And we have other people on the team with our company who are like helping us out. Yeah.
Is your company mostly immigrants?
We have no. We employ like if I go to medical, like I would say we have immigrants who are like 60%, but the 40% are non-immigrants. Yeah. Yeah.
And so, and you must have had like double digit growth every year to be where you are now.
Yeah, it has been like the way we have grown. Even me, like the first year when we started business and the second year came about, I was scared. I was like, I've never believed for me to grow a company like this. But the one support which has been with me is like me and my wife, we knew everyone's responsibility. Like
Hmm.
people always have been asking us, how do you guys work together as a married couple? So the one thing we defined from day one, like what is my responsibility as me, Brian, in this company, and what is her responsibility for her in what we are doing. So that made it clear sense so that we don't find ourselves crashing. And also we have had great people on our board guiding us and we listen when they say something. And also our parents. Our parents have been a blessing to us so much. Like we listen to them when they give us the guidance because they have seen it all before us, even when we have been in existence. So we take really respect of them when they guide us and give us advice on certain things. And the team of people we work with, another thing which motivates me every morning, day and night when we wake up is like, for me, it's not me to make so much money. Me and my wife have a car, have a nice house, live in a nice location, but it's me to know like one of my caregiver gave someone like their mom was taken to hospital, they paid the hospital bills, they have the homeware to sleep, they have put food on the table for their kids. Like that makes me, even if when they don't work, that makes me not to sleep at night. So what makes me to work hard is to make sure that those families continue feeding their loved ones, continue taking care of themselves, and that was has kept us going and grow faster more. Yeah.
Well, that's just a remarkable story. I mean, just hearing what you said really is so impressive. And I think that having that attitude,
Yeah.
you're always going to do well. But during this time when you started your company,
Yeah.
was it always things worked out for you, or were there any time where wow, even in this country it's hard? Any major events which any setbacks at any time, or did you feel like just things were just working out?
So when we started, like as like me and Lois, like especially for me because I didn't grow up in this country like from the beginning, so my accent was a little bit of a difficult for
Hmm.
people when I'm talking to them. So at the beginning, it was hard for me when I'm speaking to some of these people who, like, especially seniors, because my accent is a little bit, I speak so fast.
Mm-hmm.
So some of them used to be like, can you get for me another person who speaks clearer than you? But for me, I used to humble myself and I say, okay, I'll get for you another person who can speak better to you. So but it continued motivating me that I keep on improving myself. I keep on improving myself. But there are those setbacks which, like, I look and I'm like, okay, I need to do it better. I need to improve myself. Like, it gives me a chance to look at more growing better, how I communicate, how I speak. So that those are one of the setbacks which for me it was difficult for me to understand, like the tone, how I to talk to people, the communication part. That was one of my hardest hurdle, and like one of my hardest hurdle, like people, this one every day I tell it to myself, and I'm not telling it to anyone. Like, I tell people, like, no one refuses you work because of color. No, people refuse to give you work because you are not qualified enough and you have not given certification, you have not given people enough information to trust you with their loved one. So in my business, I find a couple of other people who work together in the same industry, and they say, oh, people refused me of work because of my color. I say no. That one I stand for it by myself, and it might be just my opinion. I share it as my opinion, is that it's how much you have explained to the people and how much you have proved to them that you are the right person to trust to work with you, and you are the right person to trust. Even if it takes me 99 times and 100% will understand that I'm that kind of person they need to help them out, I will not refuse to do that. And like, that's one of the hardest hurdle for people like me, who think, like, at first you think like, oh, am I being refused because of that? But I've grown to understand that it's not that. It's me to continue putting in the effort, continue working hard, continue understanding that it's me to learn and develop, and the right person will be there waiting for me to help them out.
So I'm glad you touched upon the topic of racism.
Yeah.
I mean, we live in Boston. I mean, Boston, you may not know, Boston isn't exactly the most friendliest.
Yeah.
You know, Boston Red Sox was the last major league team to have a black player on.
Yeah.
Until mid 70s, there was an issue about busing. So they were trying to desegregate school system in Boston, which lowered Boston public school enrollment. A lot of white people moved to suburb. Even now, I still deal with racism every day.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking your industry, you had mentioned that some of your friends may own similar company, but for the most part, you and maybe a few of your colleagues are very few black-owned business. And your clients are almost all white, right? Mostly white.
My business, 99% are white. Yeah.
99% white.
White.
And at the same time, when they look for your help, they're in vulnerable position.
Yeah.
They called you because someone in their home or at the hospital, they need your help.
Yeah, definitely.
And have you had any incident where it was difficult because of race?
Yeah, it has been. Especially like when we are like, for individuals to individuals, it might be less, but when we are like doing contracts, like hospital contracts, facility contracts, that has happened a couple of times, but we don't stop there. We keep going. Yeah.
Now you have a reputation, 5 years old, 80 some employees. So now you probably are considered a serious player in Greater Boston.
Definitely.
Everybody knows mindful healthcare, right?
Yeah.
It's
And we keep on growing.
Yeah, because last time when I asked you, I think you said you had like 50 or some employees.
Yeah.
Now it's
Yeah, it
80
was 50,
something.
around 50 something. Yeah.
And then, you know, what's remarkable when I hear you is the effort you put in to help back home.
Yeah.
Which is what a lot of immigrants forget. You
Yeah.
are here, you're doing well, and you forget about our country. But
Yeah.
sounds like you've never stopped contributing to back home.
Definitely. Because that's what makes me who am I? Like me as an individual, I'm a Ugandan. That's the first thing before anything else. So I should not forget like to build back home because that's where all the things I've achieved in life, my culture and my character was developed from there. So I should not forget that. Yeah.
But I must remind you, you're only 27. You managed to accomplish all this in 9 years.
Yeah.
I don't know where you're going to be in 10 or 20 years, but your company is growing, and I see like instead of just Greater Boston, you're going to take over New England and beyond.
Definitely.
And if your work ethic is such that never forgetting where you're from and always beyond anything, beyond race, just your qualification and your effort to put in to take
Yeah.
care of people. If you do that all the time, I think you're just going to be so busy. I don't even know if you have. I don't. Do you see your kid? Or
Yeah, I
finishes
see my
you?
kid. Like me and Lois were Saturday and Sunday. We make sure that we give him all the time and all the love. Yeah,
It seems like there's a fairly large Ugandan community in Boston. Is that true? Around like
yeah, definitely.
Burlington, I think.
Yeah. Here in Boston, it's really big. It's the second biggest after California. Yeah,
Really, it's
yeah,
interesting. My practice where I have patients from 60 some countries. I think
yeah,
Uganda is like number two after India in terms of
yeah,
premier patients. I have a lot of Ugandan women.
yeah,
And one thing I noticed, all my patients from Uganda, so polite, never
yeah,
complain, so polite. And so when patients are seen, they're usually given a gown and a drape.
yeah,
And I can tell women from Uganda, after they're done, they always fold them and place them on the exam table,
yeah,
even though they are discarded to be laundered.
yeah.
That says a lot about being respectful.
Definitely.
And, you know, it's to hear that during this difficult time, you guys are growing. It's amazing. How has
Yeah.
COVID-19 affected you?
Uh, it has been a blessing to us. We have COVID-19 didn't affect us, but we have tripled our business since what we did
Really?
last year. So it has been a blessing. Like we did, it's like the only thing which COVID-19 brought to me. Like I had to understand how the company can go like fast. Like it was like a light, like from taking care of like 50 people, taking care of almost 120 people. So I had
Mm.
to know how really strongly to manage a big team, manage a strong coordinate everyone to know like everything is in place in a certain time. So there were a lot of moving parts which I've never seen in my life, but I was able to stay focused and making sure that everyone is well taken care of. Yeah.
Your employees, they've done well, I'm
Yeah.
sure, but any of them refused? I mean, you must have had some COVID positive patients, right?
Yeah. I had, yeah, I was taking care of like almost like 25% of our numbers, like around there to 20. They had COVID. Yeah.
COVID.
Yeah.
Were any of your employees concerned about taking care of them for
Yes,
their own
it
health?
was. Yeah. But surprisingly, in I was coming from Uganda in January, and I told Lois like, I was at the airport, but I've been hearing so many people talking about this thing, COVID coming, what and what, and she was like, what is that? But like, it's my instinct. Then I told her, you know what? We should just talk out some stuff out. So by the time like things when started, like people didn't have masks, people didn't have PT kits already. I had put in orders, so by the time it got so worse by towards beginning of April or around there mid-March, we had already like the equipment to help to protect our caregivers and making sure they are safe when they are working, and everything was in place for them to make sure they can do a great job. Yeah,
You beat the rush.
yeah, I beat the rush. I tried to beat the rush. Yeah,
Well, that's funny because I did the same. So
yeah,
I am well stocked with all the stuff I need. Even if the winter is tough, I have them all.
that's really good.
You know, um, it's, I mean, this is why you say 9 years, pandemic, no pandemic, you run a multi-million dollar business. When you
Yeah,
came here, it sounds like humble beginning. You studied, you knew what you wanted to do, you just applied yourself, and somebody from upstairs looked at you and said, "You know what? I'm going to match you with Lois because Lois,
definitely.
I know she's a hard worker because when I see her as a patient, she's on the phone, work phone. She's not on the phone looking at some, you know, browsing. She's on the
Yeah,
phone working. So
definitely.
she's the CEO of this multi-million dollar business to go
Yeah,
from just in short few years to employ
yeah,
83 people. I mean, I don't even know
yeah,
what it's like to manage 83 people because the biggest, I think the biggest thing about a company, whether it's 4 or 83, is managing people, right?
definitely.
Managing people, the human resource is hard.
It's really
Um,
hard. Yeah,
because trying to retain good employee requires not, it's not just about paying them well, it's showing
yeah,
them respect, showing them leadership and guidance. And
yeah,
I can tell you, you cannot have a successful company unless you are a good leader. That's
definitely.
why I think just by listening to you, I'm sure you treat your employees really well, like family.
Yeah,
So what's up? I mean, soon you're gonna have your 10,000 units built in Uganda. It'll be like Brian's village. Brian built this 10,000 units, hardworking,
yeah.
multimillionaire in out of Boston. Where will Brian be in 10 years? Politics?
10 years. So one of the things, even before we get to 10 years, like uh, I've written a book,
Mm-hmm.
The Enterprising Entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
That book, like I'll show you. Like I think I got
Yes.
for your copy. Yeah.
Yes.
So that book, my mission next 10 years, I want to multiply myself because the
Mm-hmm.
more we multiply each ourselves, the better it becomes. Because we don't. I can have those 10,000 affordable units, but if I can create 10,000 brands, it's even far better than a vision of mine
Mm-hmm.
because I don't want to build just the 10,000 units. I want to build like a message to continue moving, a message to move to other people. And when I wrote my book, I made sure that I communicate that message to other people to learn from me. Like my book is like I just wrote a process.
Mm-hmm.
I made sure that I wrote a process for people, for the people to be easy for them to understand. I was speaking to one of my friends a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, I was reading your book, and my daughter, it was easy for her also to read. I told her like I wanted to read so that even a young kid can just read to the same things because when I was learning all these principles, I didn't learn them when I was too old. I learned them when I was like a young kid. They just showed me 1 plus 1 is 2, like simple stuff. And that's basically how I wrote it. And that's what I'm looking at next 10 years. Next 10 years, I want to multiply myself. That's what I want to do, mainly to multiply myself and people to understand that when my mission is to multiply myself in a sense whereby like the way my vision is to help others
Mm-hmm.
is the way I want them to help others. Like if I'm helping other 10,000 people to have affordable housing, what is your mission to help other people? Is it to feed 10,000 people? Is it to educate 10,000 kids? Like that's what will make a difference in this world.
You know, I mean, so admirable to hear what you have to say. I tell my kids that it is about finding passion and be a good person. And if you find that passion, apply yourself. And without focusing on making money, money will follow.
Yeah,
But so many young people think about looking for, like medical students, they want to go into residency where, easy money, like radiology, dermatology.
Yeah.
The key is to find that passion that makes you get up every morning and say, it's going to be another great day.
Yeah.
And if you apply yourself, everything else will follow and you will never go hungry. That principle can be carried out in this country.
Yeah.
That's what makes this country so great. Whereas, I don't know about Uganda, but if I was
Yeah.
in Korea, I would have never been able to go to medical school because my family had no
Definitely.
money, probably no college because there's no financial system. And, I probably would have been like my father, selling auto parts and working as a little gangster or something, black market, because options are limited.
Yeah.
But here, this is what we understand. And this is what many Americans who are born here don't understand why we have this view.
Yeah.
Hard work ethic leads to success. Not
Definitely.
easy, but persistent. Be patient and apply yourself. That's why I have you on, because that's why I've been after you, because I got to talk to Brian. I saw your book. I want to hear about this. And I had no idea that you were
Thank
only 27.
Yeah.
Had no idea you had this only 5 years. I mean,
Thank
and to come to another country as an adult is not just learning about new language. Learning new culture is not easy. To
It's not easy.
understand new
Yeah.
culture is not easy, but you've done it, and and I think you guys should have more kids. Don't stop at two. You need to have like 6 kids. There needs to be little Brian Lewis running around, half dozen kids, because you come up with
Definitely.
such a great genetic makeup. You need to have lots of
Yeah.
kids, and
Definitely.
I'm gonna get a copy of your book. You'll have to autograph for me, and then
Thank you.
we're gonna invite you back and see where you are. But
Thank you.
story like this is what we need to share with others, because us immigrants coming here, no matter how hard things are, it's a lot better than where we come from.
Definitely. And one other thing which I would say, like, I talk about one of the things which I taught myself, like procrastination is a theft of success. Like, no matter what, I try not to procrastinate. Like, I make sure that at the moment I procrastinate, I'm going to lose that opportunity. So everyone whatever anyone is doing, don't procrastinate on it. Start today. You don't have to start big. Start at the lowest level of all levels, and then you learn. Like, I'll give you a simple thing. You want to own a hotel, start as a cleaner. Learn what do cleaners do.
Yeah.
Start as someone who lays the beds in the hotel. Start as someone who's a reception. By the time you own a hotel, you know every bit of every part of your hotel.
That is such a great example you mentioned, because I talk about, if I were to be a CEO of a hospital,
Yeah.
what I would do is I would visit my hospital at different time. I
Yeah.
would meet every one of my employees, cleaners who work graveyard from 11 to 11, or cafeteria worker. Get to know everyone.
Yeah.
Instead, what modern CEOs do is they're stuck in their office, meetings. They have no idea how things are done, which is
Definitely.
why many big hospitals, many big companies, I think, are in trouble, because they don't
Yeah.
understand. You have to understand everyone, and
Every-
everyone should be treated equal. And it sounds like that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's a great motto, and I always say, too much work is better than no work.
No work.
So out of 168 hours a week, I think I work well over 100 hours a week, even now. And I say, you know what? That means I'm healthy. My mind and body are still sound, and I do what I
Yeah.
want to do. And
Yeah.
what I like to do is, hopefully, when the COVID is all said and done, I'm going to invite all my friends, and we should have a nice party
Definitely.
celebrating what this great country has done for us.
Definitely.
And I'm going to see you soon at next visit. But
Yeah,
I would love to chat with you more over dinner. And we'll
definitely.
have to wait a little bit because you have a
Yeah,
little one coming. But
yeah.
thank you so much for your time and
Thank you so
fascinating
much.
story.
And
And say hello to your wife for me.
I'll say hello for you to the family. And you too
Okay.
keep safe. Say hello for me to everyone.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks, Brian. Talk to you soon.
You too. Bye bye.
You know, first of all, I had no idea. This young man comes from Uganda at age of 18. He's 27 now. He and his wife employ 83 people, multi-million dollar business. Not once during our chat did he mention anything negative. He started out by saying how great this country is. And that's what I say. I have lived here for almost 50 years. I am so thankful that I am here. I'm also grateful that I got a chance to live in Korea, my motherland, for 12 years. But I couldn't do anything with it in my motherland. But this country gave me a purpose. And I tell you, to listen to Brian, and I know he works hard, but I hear that his wife works harder. So thank you very much for joining me tonight, and more stories to come.